Hey, beautiful people. I just wanted to share you this fantastic article about Herbie Hancock, who basically received an award for the Ben Franklin Medal. And the article is in the link below, but I just wanted to share what was said here. Jazz legend Herbie Hancock was in Philadelphia Wednesday night to accept an award from the Royal Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufactures and Commerce. The 264-year-old Royal Society for Arts based in London initiated the Benjamin Franklin Medal in 1956 to honour colonial fellows admitted in 1756 for the award. The RSA seeks people who transcend their vocations to general benefit mankind. And it reads on, past recipients include naturalist Sir David Attenborough, architects Robert Venturi and Denise Scott Brown, and actress Dame Judi Dench. Hancock is the first musician to get the medal. He's an American icon. At this point we can escalate that to the world icon, said Christian McBride, himself a towering jazz artist who performed for Hancock at the ceremony in the Annenberg Center of the University of Pennsylvania. His art knows no bounds. That's easier said than done. A lot of musicians say they appreciate everything but don't actually do everything. Herbie Hancock has done everything. He's fearless. Since 2013, the Ben Franklin Medal has been administered by the American arm of the Royal Society, RSA US. The ceremony is usually staged in cities where there are clusters of RSA followers. For the last 3 years it has been in New York City. This is the first time the medal was given in Philadelphia. The Ben Franklin founded the University of Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia is the city he loved, said Lolita Jackson, chair of RSA US and a University of Pennsylvania alumnus. She now works for the mayor of New York. It's made a lot of sense to bring the medal here where it belongs. For his part, Hancock has never before heard of the medal. When he was approached to receive it, he was game, nevertheless, because of its namesake. He says, he's been a hero of mine for years. I love the fact that he loved science, said Hancock about Franklin. He was like the go-to person. If you wanted some wise answers, you go to Ben Franklin. I was an engineering student in school for 2 years, so I can identify with him from the standpoint. Hancock, 78, owns a 3D phone. Most people don't know what that is, includes me, and calls himself the most tech person in the room. His career backs that up. His song Rocket in 1983 was one of the first hits to turn turntablism, that is scratching, turntablism. Although Ben Franklin dabbled in music, it was not seen as one of his talents. Nevertheless, his interest in music and invention led him to develop the class harmonica instrument. He was a curious person. I've always been curious, even before I knew I had interest in music, said Hancock. My first recollection of an interest in anything was interest in science, not music. I used to take apart watches and clocks to figure out how they work. I got a beating when I tried to take my line or electric train apart. In his speech at the ceremony, Hancock recalled that he eventually turned to the piano as a child because he could not keep up with his older brother in sports. The interest that led to a long and prolific career as a pianist and band leader, producing a seemingly relentless series of landmark ensembles and recordings of post-pop, jazz, punk, hip-hop, classical and fusion music. Now he prefers not to identify himself as a musician. And I love this. I am not a musician. I am a human being like anybody else, he said. It took me years to realize that I always thought I was a musician. It's all I've concentrated on and I identified with almost all my life. I started practicing Buddhism 45 years ago, and you sometimes have epiphanies, he continued. That was an important one. I'm only a musician when I'm writing or playing music, but I don't do that 24 hours a day. I'm a father, a husband, a son, a friend, a citizen. I have many different functions. And so he's referring in his practicing Buddhism, the SGI Nichiren Buddhism. And there's some great articles on YouTube that describe his love and embracement of improvisation on jazz and Buddhism and the joyful life. One of the quotes that he's joined in an article with Wayne Shorter, who's also involved in SGI and Nichiren Buddhism. And Hancock says, "I take every chance I get to perform with people of younger generations playing different genres. Actually, when I was playing on stage, I don't see a difference between developing musicians and those who are already masters. Of course, because the goal is to make the music as good as it can be, some part of me has to be aware of the placement of the musicians, of their level of experience, of where they are. No matter how good a musician is, every note that comes from him or her can be a precious gem. But sometimes other musicians have a hand in making the note a gem by helping to remove the rough edges, helping to shape it. It's like we try to lift one another up in the performance." Fortunately, his jazz chops have supported his personal relationships and his spiritual life. Jazz is built on those humanistic characteristics. It's about sharing and being non-judgmental and supporting each other, said Hancock. Those are attributes of being a human being. That's what we should all be striving for. I find that amazing. It's something worth to note. Pause. Hancock's life as a humanitarian has become nearly as busy as his life as a musician. He was able to squeeze in the Benjamin Franklin Award between a gig in Washington, D.C., where his longtime friend Wayne Shorter was being honored at the Kennedy Center, and a stint as a judge for a piano competition at the Thelonious Monk Institute, an educational initiative where Hancock is chairman. "I've been a busy puppy for about a week. I'm about to fall apart," he said. "Tomorrow I go home. I like to sleep for a week, but I can't because I got stuff to do there." At the Benjamin Franklin Medal ceremony, Hancock announced that the Thelonious Monk Institute will soon be renamed the Herbie Hancock Institute. It's an honor he was wary of accepting at first, but Hancock said he decided along with his family that it will be a good for the organization. So that's a fantastic article. There are other places where Herbie Hancock shares his insight with his Buddhism, with SGI and Nichiren Buddhism, and how he got involved with it and helped him evolve his creativity. And I'll just show you where you could find that on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and look for Herbie Hancock, Buddhism and Creativity, at the Mahindra Humanities Center, and I think that's part of the Harvard University, but it's very, very interesting. This is where he just talks about how his Buddhism and creativity have meshed. Have a listen to that. The link will be down there below. And also there's another link of Herbie Hancock explaining Soko Kakai, the true spirit. So that's part of the SGI Nichiren Buddhism that he's part of. But look, a great article. If you're interested in reading that, just click on the link below. Fantastic. Thanks for listening.